have you ever done one of those fad diets, you know? How did it go for you? Well, let's see what our Healthy Lifestyles Australia dietitian has to say.
And on the phone, we have Caitlin Henderson from Healthy Lifestyles Australia. G'day, Caitlin.
Hello, how are you?
We're fine, thanks. And now I know what you are. You're an APD, aren't you?
Correct, yes, accredited practicing dietitian.
Hey, that sounds much better than just saying dietitian, nutritionist. You know, accredited just says it all.
Yes. Well, we're qualified people.
Good on you.
And there are a stack of you because you also do continuing education, just like vets and doctors and that. It's not like you just get a rubber stamp and that's it forever. You have to keep working at it.
Yeah, that's right. So we've got to do about 30 hours a year of CPD, so continuing professional development, which we log and report. So we're always learning and always trying to improve our skills.
Well, that's fantastic. And that's exactly what vets do as well, and vet nurses and all those sort of people. And doctors do it as well. But, yeah, interesting.
Fad diets. So many options. The good, the bad and the ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Without mentioning
and
any
you don't have to be
names.
too diplomatic.
Yeah. Okay. No one's going to hear
right.
this.
So, I pretty well learn about these fad diets through my clients. You know, you've got your HCG diets, your fast 800s, your paleos, your cookie diet, your high protein, low carb, ketogenic. There's many more. Generally, they're not designed, well, maybe they attempted to make them sustainable long term, but most people cannot maintain any of these diets long term, greater than 2 years. So these ones should be taken with a grain of salt, essentially. So they're not really something that I recommend to people to do, you know, fad diets. I definitely have more of a everything in moderation approach and balance is key approach.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it nice and simple. And there's a lot of stress that comes with some of these diets and overthinking of foods, and then you're kind of classifying foods into good and bad, and that's where it can become a little bit negative and detrimental to just generally having a better diet.
Well, as you said, you know, everything in moderation is the thing. I mean, the Mediterranean diet I've looked at over the years, and I used to live in Spain years ago, and quite funnily, the Mediterranean diet allowed me to put on I don't know how many kilos, but maybe that was something to do with, you know, the late dinners and the whatever and not exercising. But
how important is timing when eating?
Yeah.
Just out of interest?
Yeah, there's extremes of very poor timing of eating and no consistency with eating. And then there's, you know, the less extreme of, you know, not having, you know, if you're eating before 8 o'clock, that sort of thing is going to be okay. So essentially it can be important if you have a very inconsistent diet where you're not eating at regular-ish meal times, but there's no real hard and fast rule that you have to, you know, stop eating by a certain time at night. It does also depend on what time you're going to bed and what time you're waking up. It is good for our body to have an overnight fast, but it's not, you know, it's not something that we regulate terribly. Okay. As long as you're not having, you know, a big bowl of ice cream at 10 o'clock at night right before you go to sleep. That's probably the thing to avoid.
And we should be having breakfast, shouldn't we, Kay?
I do. Eventually.
No, it's we won't go into the detail there, but Kay's not a morning person, so yeah.
Oh, I see.
Couple of cups.
Well, I mean, there's always a belated breakfast, a smaller morning tea that you can consider your first meal of the day.
I knew I liked you, Caitlin.
Yeah, you girls have just teamed up, I can tell. Well, Caitlin, we know you've got some more appointments coming up, so we'd love to catch up again.
Yes, please.
And,
I've got so many more questions.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Caitlin. Caitlin Henderson from Healthy Lifestyles Australia.